Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to the Tin Dog Podcast. As you can probably tell, my voice has decided to take another turn for the worse. So I'm recording this now and quickly, before I lose my voice completely. This week, it's the second part of the Dalek War box set, Planet of the Daleks.
Report! Message from Command Spacecraft. The Dalek Supreme will touch down on Spiridon shortly. He will assume total command of all operations on this planet. Understood? Dalek Command has identified the leading alien, the one who is not a foul. Who is he? He is the one known as the Doctor, the greatest enemy of the Daleks. He has much knowledge that would be of value to us. He must be captured alive for interrogation. We cannot leave here. No one can enter. We can never leave here. Never, never, never.
If you see it as one continuing narrative, it's episodes 6 to 12. If you see it as a separate story, it's 6 episodes long. Broadcast on the 7th of April 1973 to the 12th of May 1973. And can't you from that statement tell that I've really been working on the Whostrologies far, far too much? For those of you interested in such things, I have only 15 stories left to view, and Whostrolorize. Is that such a word? It is now. Marvellous. So before I lose my voice, let's just talk a little about this story, shall we? Yes, in a rather surprising move, the villains have been revealed to be the Daleks. Now, there are some theories about this story. There hadn't been a Dalek story for some time. Or at least, Terry Nation hadn't been involved in the series for a bit. He'd been trying to flog the Daleks off to America for their own spin-off series, and it just hadn't quite got there. And so, over some exciting lunches between Nation and Dix, and the sadly now deceased producer Barry Letts. Ah yes, news of Barry's passing only arrived yesterday, and I for one am sorry to see a producer of such talent go. Anyone capable of producing such classics, well, you know the rest. If you know Doctor Who, you know Barry's work.
Loading archive interviews.
Scientists are apt to do things purely for the sake of knowledge and then look at the results afterwards. For example, today is these fools who are trying to get rid of the gene which makes us grow old so that we'll go on living and living and living and living. Now, that would be disaster for humanity, you know. We've got far too many people already. We've got far too many old people already. And at the same time, one of the reasons why we managed to make a life for ourselves is because we've got a shape to our lives.
Basically, at the end of the last story, the Doctor had been shot by some sort of strange weapon, had fallen to the ground, we'd bid Roger Delgado farewell, and the cast had head off to the planet Spiridon, or Spiridon. With the Doctor completely out cold, just like he was in The Demons, we get the entire story relayed to us by Joe. In order to have dialogue on screen when there's only one character, Joe sets about recording it in the TARDIS log, something you've never seen then or since. Joe then proceeds to wander aimlessly around, find some Thals, terrorists, freedom fighters, whatever. Find the locals. Yes, it's a classic Terry Nation forest world, the sort of thing you would see in the Daleks' master plan, if you could still see the Daleks' master plan, but let's not go there. No, The locals have an almost unique ability. They are invisible, giving the production crew a wonderful chance to do what they do best during the Pertwee era, which is use CSO. The parallels between this Dalek story and the original Dalek story, you know, the one with Hartnell, where he comes and scars, the first one, yeah, are a little bit too heavy-handed. Is it that Nation was reusing his ideas, didn't have any new ones, or was that he was still proving that his old formulas worked?
Are you a new fan of the current Doctor Who series and are interested in trying out the classic series? Or have you been a fan since the William Hartnell days and just aren't sure which classic series DVDs you want to invest your hard-earned money in? Either way, take all the guesswork out. Listen to Who on Who, the Doctor Who podcast devoted to the review of classic series Doctor Who DVDs. My name is David Huey, and on each episode of the podcast, I take one DVD and discuss the story, the extra features on each DVD, and occasionally get another Doctor Who fan roped into joining the fun. So why not give it a shot? You can find it on iTunes, or point your browser to www.whoonwho.com. That's who, H-O-O, on who, W-H-O.com. Come and join the fun.
Tell you what, to save all that tedious messing about with synopsises and the like, here's what it says on the back of the DVD. Injured after a shootout between his old nemesis, the Master, and the Ogrons, slaves to the evil Daleks, the Doctor sends a message to the Time Lords asking them to pilot his TARDIS and follow the Daleks to their new base. After he slips into a coma, it falls to his assistant Joe Grant to explore the planet where the TARDIS finally materializes. Not only must the Doctor contend with the Daleks' new stratagem, but try to stop them unleashing a plague that would ultimately destroy all organic life. When a rescue ship of Thals arrives, they bring with them darker news still. Somewhere in Spyridon, 12,000 Daleks are waiting to emerge to take what they believe is their rightful place as the universe's supreme beings. Yeah. So we ask ourselves the important question about this very story. Is it any good? Well, of course it is. It's a Dalek story. I mean, alright, the head Dalek has got, well, a flashlight for an eye. And the army of Daleks really does look like, well, a shed load of toys in a Modrock fish tank. But that's not to distract at all from the fantastic bit of pertweeness that is this story. It harkens back to its original Dalek roots a little bit too much for some people's likings. But that's hardly a crime. Now, I was going to talk at great length about the second Tom Baker audio, but I'd rather talk about something else. You see, this week marks the return of Sarah Jane. The Sarah Jane Adventures Series 3 has started again, and they're trying something a little bit different. 2 episodes, 1 week, stripped almost like Torchwood. You get a whole story over 2 days. So I've delayed release of this particular podcast until the end of this week's story. Prisoner of the Jadoon. And what a little corker it's been.
13 Bannerman Road is where Sarah Jane Smith lives. And it's home to things way beyond your imagination. There's an extraterrestrial supercomputer in the wall, a genetically engineered boy genius in the attic, a schoolgirl investigator across the road, and a whole universe of adventure right here on the doorstep.
Ready?
Always.
My name is Sarah Jane Smith, and once I travelled among the stars. I saw worlds beyond imagination. I went to places beyond my wildest dreams and met creatures beyond my darkest nightmares. And all of it was amazing. Then one day, when I wasn't expecting it, I came home. Life changed. More than I could ever have believed possible. Now, I have a son, even a family of sorts. Life is good on Bannerman Road, even if you sometimes have to work at a weekend.
Sarah Jane is everything that Torchwood wasn't. It's got comedy, but not comedy taken too far. Alright, the Jadoon is a comedy character, but it never strays too far from his original characterizations. He's got more lines here than you've seen before, and the secondary plot involving nanotechnology, well, you kind of saw where that was going right from the very beginning. No one, and I mean no one in Doctor Who history, plays possessed quite as well as Elizabeth Sladen. It's a welcome return to the series, and I, for one, will be setting my little recorder to get every single episode. Before I go, there's just time for a quick Whostrology.
There are podcasts, and there are podcasts, and Staggering Stories is one of those podcasts. Listen to our in-depth and comprehensive reviews.
I really liked it.
Be in awe of our witty repartee.
You're idiots.
Cower before the might of El Presidente.
I shall have them all executed, but I'm drifting.
Marvel at the thoughts of the head of Pertwee. Staggering Stories. I like it, but I don't know why. Can I have a glass of water, please? This voiceover's killing my throat.
Whostrology for Keith Andrew Dunn, born on the 13th of October 1964. You were born in the time of the First Doctor, with Susan, Ian and Barbara in your first house. Stories shown on your birthday. You were born between seasons 1 and 2, and on the anniversary of City of Death Part 3. Your Whostrology. The journey has begun, a long and wonderful journey that will expand your mind and bring tears as well as laughter. Things will always be in flux, and change will come soon. Embrace it for the good of us all. An artist friend may be out when you pay him an unexpected visit. Vandalizing their work will get you nowhere. Check that your hands aren't too cold, as some people can't bear that. And as always, that says more than we can possibly know. So until next time, be seeing you. And so, at the risk of losing my voice completely, I'll fade away from this week's TDP, and hopefully when things are back to normal, and I've got enough time on my hands to even record, then I'll be back, possibly looking at The King's Demons, or is it Planet of Fire? Either way, be seeing you. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.